Horror games stand out to me when it comes to video games because most games revolve around the feelings of joy, triumph, anger, and then there are horror games which revolve solely on inflicting fear into the player. It's fascinating how game developers are able to create games that make us feel true fear. To better understand how they accomplish this, I will be analyzing some horror games based on the MDA framework. MDA stands for Mechanics, Dynamics, and Aesthetics. The MDA framework is a way of breaking a game down into its core parts and figuring out what it was that exactly made the game what it is. Let's first take a look at the consumers of horror games. Why do people like horror games? Well, in the Digital Trends article, Why Do We Love Horror Games? Psychologists explain our morbid curiosity. Horror author and psychologist Matthias Kauson says, "We evolve to find pleasure in playing with fear because we learn important things about ourselves and the world that way. What the dangers of the world are, how we respond to fear ourselves, and how we can cope with negative emotions such as fear and anxiety. Mechanics are the raw components and rules. Doki Doki Literary Club shows that mechanics don't have to be overly advanced to still give that fear factor. The simple mechanics allow the player to interact with the characters by choosing different dialogue options. One of the key mechanics of Phasmophobia is that when there is a hunt happening in a location, all of the lights turn off and the doors lock so you can't escape. This mechanic enhances the disturbing visuals of the game. Another interesting mechanic in horror games is the breathing mechanic in Five Nights at Freddy's 4. The player has to listen out into the dark corridor for the sound of breathing, which would indicate a threat. Have to is scary in a different way. It's overwhelming and makes the player feel helpless and exposed, as the door closing mechanic from the first game is now gone and replaced with a big wide open door in the middle and two vents on either side that you just have to pray nothing comes out of. Other new mechanics are the flashlight, music box, and Freddy mask. There is a lot to keep track of in this game when you first play it. Dynamics are the systems that emerge from mechanics and action. The dynamic that emerged from the Bigfoot game is resource management and cooperation, as you need resources to heal yourself and other players, set traps, and set up cameras. Phasmophobia possesses the dynamic of progression and failure because the more you play and fail, the more you discover about the game's different ghosts. As well as that, you unlock new maps and equipment. Like mentioned before in Phasmophobia, the doors lock when there is a haunt happening. This causes the players to experience fight or flight, but they can't fight the ghost or run from it, so they choose a third option, that being hiding from them. Games like Doki Doki Literary Club and Cult of the Lamb play with the dynamic of attachment to characters that make their games unique and engaging. In Doki Doki, you interact with the NPCs and build a relationship with them through dialogue options, and in Cult of the Lamb, you meet various NPCs while also creating cult members that you grow attached to. Narrative is a key dynamic in the game at dead of night. In this game, the main goal is to figure out the story of the Seaview Hotel. Aesthetics are the emotional responses and experiences of the player. According to LeBlanc, there are 8 aesthetic goals: fellowship, challenge, discovery, sensation, submission, fantasy, narrative, and expression. All of these elements build the feeling that horror games evoke. Fellowship can be felt in Phasmophobia. When a horror game has a multiplayer option, it becomes more challenging for it to remain scary. I think Phasmophobia does a great job at remaining scary while also being multiplayer, as it possesses the mechanic of dead players not being able to speak. This prevents the dead from spoiling any scares for the alive players and brings back that feeling of solitude while still being a social experience. The Bigfoot game carries the aesthetic of challenge combined with fellowship. The survivors must work together in order to beat the Bigfoot. The challenge also comes in with the fact that there are limited resources, as you can't always heal each other or accomplish your goals if you don't manage your resources well. You're able to increase the loot setting when creating a new game, but this can defeat the challenge. Multiplayer enables you to get more loot, but the game compensates by increasing the Bigfoot's health, so it's still challenging. Chris Crawford uses mountain climbers as an analogy for this point, saying, "Plenty of other technological aids could assist the mountain climber, but most climbers have a set of self-imposed rules that limit their utilization of such aids. After all, the point of mountain climbing is not to get to the top of the mountain, but rather to challenge oneself." In Chris Crawford's On Game Design, it says, "Players don't need to be spirited away to an exotic world. They want to face and overcome interesting challenges, and the pragmatic world they live goes to great lengths to minimize all risk." Phasmophobia proves this, as its scenery is composed of everyday locations like schools and houses. It possesses the aesthetic of discovery, as there are many ghosts and maps to discover. You won't experience them all by playing once or twice. This makes it replayable and is a factor in why it is such a popular game. Little Nightmares creates this sense of powerlessness from the camera angles to the echoing sound design. Everything but your character feels colossal. The lighting is a key part of making this game's visuals unique. It's incredibly dark, and you have to use a flame to maneuver around. Cult of the Lamb, while not 100% being a horror game, has horrific elements that serve the same purpose as jump scares in typical horror games. It's a game that fits into the aesthetic of submission, as it contains design elements like accessible mechanics, a compelling world, and a sense of persistent progression and continuous activity. FNAF 4 is different from the other games in its franchise, as it's set in a child's bedroom. This familiar setting puts the player in the perspective of the main character. The saving feature plays a crucial part in making horror games immersive, as if it is rare, then the player will become frustrated with it and lose the fear factor, but if it is too frequent, then the player will not be afraid to lose progress, and in turn this will make the experience less tense for them. From the book Chris Crawford on Game Design, he states that if the player fears mines lurking underneath every step he takes, he won't take many steps. Game feel, which is a term popularized by Steve Swink's book Game Feel, A Game Designer's Guide to Virtual Sensation, is a crucial part in how immersive a horror game is as well, because if the controls don't feel correct, the player will not be as engrossed with the game. In the book he states that the game world becomes real because the senses are directly overwritten by feedback from the game. This is because an avatar is a tool both for acting on the world felt and for perceiving it. Narrative or the story can be seen in The Dead of Night, which is based around speaking to the dead to unravel the story of the hotel. This game features both live action and game graphics to tell its story. You have to go around and find objects to piece the story together. Expression can be seen in Cult of the Lamb in the fact that you can customize your cult members into being whatever species or color you want. In conclusion, the MDA framework is vital for game designers to better analyze horror games. By doing this, you can figure out which parts of the games are done better than others, and this way of analysis can help you create your own games.